Yo, we live. Yo,
What's
mic check, mic check.
Hello. Testing.
Yo.
Yo,
One,
yo,
two, three.
yo.
1, 2, 3.
All right, we're good. Yeah. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of Nest Talk. And it's the show where we talk about some of the big gaming headlines and what's trending in the gaming media. This is your host, Theslykrow. And I'm here once again with my man, Agent Deli.
Hi, hello. I'm Agent Deli, aka best teeth in the game.
Okay. All right. All right. We do have some of our guests from last week, so it's nice to have you guys back on. And so we have Joker
Thank you.
Gamer V3.
What's up, Pam?
All right,
Thanks for having me back.
and we have the man who is obsessed with the color purple, WinduTheMace.
I so am not. What's up, guys?
It is a good color, though.
That's so not me.
It is a good color.
True.
All right, and we have a special guest here. We have Big Mike. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite.
All right, no problem. Appreciate it. And yeah, so this is Nest Talk episode 4, guys. And so the title of this show is called The Value Proposition, as we did get a wild tweet from the creator director of Days Gone saying that, oh, if you love a game, you should buy it full price. So we'll be having an interesting conversation about that and how we determine how we value the pricing of our games. And so we're going to be having a topic about that. And so let's go ahead and start with the Resident Evil showcase. And last Thursday, we had a very awesome show with Resident Evil 8. They showed an awesome trailer revealing some of the interesting areas you get to explore, as well as some of the story tidbits. And so, it is taking place after Resident Evil 7. So, it is taking place, the story is continuing. And so Ethan Winters is actually looking for his lost daughter, who is trapped in this village, and he actually gets captured by Chris Redfield. And we also have the old dude dragging him. You see that he gets trapped in a cave there, and also we do have some scenes with Lady Dimitri. So I'm gonna take this to. I'm gonna pass this on to Big Mike. So, what are your impressions of the Resident Evil showcase?
My impressions for the Resident Evil 8 showcase was actually really good. I enjoyed, all the stuff we've been, getting shown, and I went and got to play the demo when it launched. My only disappointment on the demo was, it's only 30 minutes, which ain't very long. Doesn't give you long to run around. I wish it just was unlimited and that you can just run around and explore. But supposedly May 1st, when it drops, when they drop both demos for the PC, Stadia, and everything, it'll give you an hour to play it. The next demo's coming up in the 27th or the 26th. But let me tell you, the first demo, the village, was super scary. For the first 30 minutes I got to play it, I screamed like a little bitch. I ain't gonna lie. I love me some Resident Evil. I've played them all, front to back, beat them all, loved them all. Even Resident Evil 7 in VR. I played it, beat it. Super fucking scary. But I'm all for that.
Yeah, I definitely
Great
feel you
man.
on that. And when I did play the demo, that scene where you had to cross the farm, that was pretty nerve-wracking. They had actual zombies. I think they're called not sure what the term is. They're like demons, like vampire demons. So there was a few demons there in the farm, and you had to cross the tumbleweed or the wheat farm. So
Yes.
that was pretty nerve-wracking. Like when I heard the first zombie growling, that was crazy right there.
Dude, I did get that eerie feeling when you first heard him, growling and howling. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is that? I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, as soon as he had jumped out of the weeds and attacked me, I was like, I said, I ain't gonna lie, I screamed. I was like, ah! That's like Jesus.
I actually have a question.
Yeah, what's
It-
up, Windu?
compared to, let's say, Resident Evil 7, the little demo that you got to play, because I unfortunately missed it. How would you say it compares to Resident Evil 7 as far as story, like immersion? You know,
Oh, this demo is way better than the RE7 demo. Like you got to explore a lot of the areas in the village, and like you had to like collect some pieces of a puzzle to form. Like you had to collect the pieces to go past this barricade. Like there was some kind of wall you had to go past. But honestly, man, I was super scared with this demo. I feel like I wasted my time almost because, like, when I watched another stream, like, this person collected a shotgun, and like I didn't even get to that point, bro. Like, it's just very nerve wracking. Like, I wanted to take it all in. Like, the graphics looked amazing in this game, and like when you see the snow particle effects and everything like that, like it's just very very mind blowing to be honest. Like playing this on a PS4, like having these graphics on a PS4 is very, it's very nice to see. And I didn't
Yeah, I
think,
played. Go ahead.
sorry, I didn't think it would be possible for the PS4 to output this much graphical performance. So, it's pretty impressive to see.
Yeah, I played it on the PS5 with the ray tracing and 60 frames per second. And like I said, even with the ray tracing and the lighting, it looked amazing. The snow effects, like you were talking about. And I even, like you even said, I didn't beat the puzzle. So like I said, I ran out of time. But like I said, it was still super scary.
So, my question to you is this: like, is this game more focused on exploration aspect, or is it just straight focused on the story aspect, or is it a mixture of both?
that's a good
I
question.
think-
Like open world or more linear?
I think it's going to be a mixture of both. Because I was reading also, there's supposed to be, you're able to cook ingredients and things like that to keep healed and things like that. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm super
So
hyped for the game.
So I was also looking up on it, to be honest with you, because I do like to play Resident Evil games, but I am a little bitch when it comes to playing any scary game. Right? But last time I played a scary game, I'm telling you now, I was paranoid as shit. Like, can I hear noises? Like, what the fuck? Like, never touching that shit ever again. But on that aspect, though, I heard that like the crafting system is a lot more smoother and much more easier to do in this game compared to the previous ones. And also, I believe that the backpack has got like a Tetris style inventory management system. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like Escape
I
from
believe it is
Tarkov type of
taking,
backpack?
some of the aspects of like the old classic Resident Evil games, how like, you're limited by some items take more slots and like you're limited in your like bag inventory and things like that. So you gotta be careful with the things you collect. And so, in my opinion, I thought that, this demo did a very good job in exploring it had like a folk tribal feeling to the environments and how everything was, presented there. And actually, I did see this debate on Twitter the other day where, people were debating, like, people were debating that they preferred Resident Evil games to be third person. So I gotta ask you guys, like, do you guys prefer Resident Evil in third person, or do you like the way the first person is going so far?
Me
For
personally,
me,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was like, me personally, I prefer third person, but I can play the first person. Like I said, the very first Resident Evil game was in first person. I remember was Resident Evil 7, and like I said, it was all right. Especially like I said, it was kind of weird at the moment, but like, I always prefer the third person. And the VR plus the first person was actually really detailed in a very immersion. You remember that scene in Resident Evil 7 where the girl Mia comes up from the basement?
Yeah,
Right.
that was
Ooh.
crazy. Yeah.
I mean, just imagine with that in the VR if you haven't played the VR version. I think I heard one of you guys say you got to the truck part and you stopped playing in VR.
Yeah, that was me.
I'm just
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
if you haven't, I mean, did you beat Resident Evil 7?
No.
He
Nope.
said, nah, nope.
Nah, I won't lie to you.
He's like, I was out. Yes, I was out.
Yep. I got to the truck part in the garage and I was like, oops, my power cut off.
For my
classic
safety.
Alright, yo, so Windu, what are your thoughts on? I know you did play Resident Evil 7. So, what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
this question? Like, do you prefer Resident Evil games to be third person, or did you like what you played in Resident Evil 7?
I don't know, man. I'm probably one of those that's conflicted because, again, like if you played the classics, those are hell, not even third person. Those are like fixed camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
isometric.
Yeah, and then moving forward, then it was third person. Like I'll be honest, Resident Evil 5, the one that was more arcade based, was probably one of my favorites because it was one of the first times I could just split screen with a buddy at my house and be like, "Yo, we gonna play this shit all day, bro. Let's go." But with that in mind, I still prefer first person shooters. I prefer first person scary games. Like it's just a level of immersion. Like Resident Evil 7 would not have been as creepy as that story was if I was looking over Homeboy's shoulder the entire time. Like I don't feel
Yeah, I
like
feel
that's
that.
me.
Yeah.
You get me? And if
Joke,
they're
like-
keeping towards
Sorry.
that, I don't know. I was gonna say if they're keeping towards the more story oriented, almost horror film vibe like Resident Evil 7 had, I would say keep it first person just for the immersion.
And that's exactly what I was going to point it out. I was there like, would I feel more scared playing it in the third person point of view? Now, don't get me wrong, I beat Resident Evil 5, right? Because it was like that, like you said, it was a fixed point of view. I knew exactly what I was doing and everything like that. I was not that immersed because I was focused on the character and like just trying to navigate where I need to go. But playing this through the first person point of view, I was like, bro, this is eerie as shit. Like, fuck playing this on my own. I had my homie just sit next to me on the couch on the other side. I was there like, bro, you're staying there until I finish this level. Go ahead, and then you can fuck off from here. But till then, you're staying there.
I agree with these two, Joker and Windu. I like the first person. And there are a couple aspects to that too. One, I'm not a classic or nostalgic purist. As much as I like Resident Evil and I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2 Remake, there's just a level of immersion that you lose when you pull out into a third person, especially when you have a fixed camera like that. You can't, when you're walking and shooting and you're aiming. I may get flack for this, but the game feels dated when that happens.
Really?
Right? If you play
Wow.
a third person shooter, and obviously Resident Evil is not a third person shooter, which is like kind of why I feel like I'm going to get flack for this comment, but if you play a third person shooter or a third person action adventure game, the cameras are very fluid. Horizon Zero Dawn, Tomb Raider, Uncharted, Gears of War even, a game that pioneered this like action adventure horror mix. You really have a system in Resident Evil where you can feel like this game is old. And when you are transitioning a series or you're evolving a series from something that's very a classical feel and you want to adapt something new, especially since they're toting the whole RE engine overhaul, I would say moving into the first person is a very, very clever move because one, you have less to render. If you have to render a 4K model of Leon walking around an environment, the environment is going to be considerably less detailed. And you will see that in games like Ghost Recon, Metal Gear Solid, pretty much every third person game, like even Uncharted 4, there are, bits of the game where, you could definitely tell that the character model is a little bit higher quality than, the assets on the ground. And that's something that you don't really have to deal with when you are in first person because you don't have to render anything but the hands and the guns, right? So you could still have that high level of quality along with the immersion and quality assets in the background. So it's kind of like a plus and a plus for Resident Evil, especially like I said, toting this new engine. And the only con would be that I guess that you're upsetting fans of that classic purist feel. But I think it's a logical move to push Resident Evil towards the story-oriented horror that Resident Evil 7 was going for.
Yes.
I agree with you on that, to be honest. And also, like, the simple fact is that, like, let's take some other horror games, for example, right? Like, if you ever played, have you guys played Outlast?
Yeah.
Yeah,
played
it's
it.
definitely a good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we talk about
so-
critically acclaimed horror games, I mean, you
Mhm.
think Amnesia, Outlast, and
Yep.
Hmm.
And when you guys played Outlast, if you imagine playing that on a third-person point of view, would have felt that eerie feeling as to how it made you go completely immersive into it, like the whole aesthetic, the whole environment feeling? Like, do you think that it would have the same effect having it on a third-person point of view? No, I don't think so.
no. I think the game would have to be redesigned because there are a lot of jumps. The game is jump scare heavy,
Mhm.
and being in third person, being able to see
You can
around
see something
corners
around
and
the
stuff like that, the game itself would have to be redesigned from the ground up to target a different style of horror. And in our what's it called? In our industry at the current moment, you'll see trends. You'll see mostly first person horror games, right? Like we had this issue in the industry with The Evil Within, right? The godfather of horror, Shinji Mikami himself, came in with Bethesda and created Evil Within, third person horror game. It was great. Everybody loved it. It was scary. The issue is that when he went to go create the sequel, and you can look me up on this, it was quoted to be too scary. So he turned the sequel into more of an action horror game, much like something akin to Gears of War. And that's something that turned off a lot of viewers or turned off a lot of the audience members. But that's just a sacrifice you have to make when you are creating that kind of a platform for a horror game. And that's something that if you went to go transition Outlast 2, Outlast 1 and 2 into, you would have to redesign the game from the bottom up.
True. Very
Yeah,
true.
I definitely feel that, but for me, like I really like the third person, especially when you get a new mod or like a new like an inventory upgrade, like you see that on your character, and it's a very cool thing to see. And also like seeing all the animations, like seeing your character run through the halls, like everything like that, it's just much more it's just much better in my opinion, just the third person feel. But I was looking into this debate on Twitter, and so what they've said is that they like the first person view and that it made it a much better horror game. And I do agree with that. Once I did play this demo, like just the little things like hearing a chain in the distance, or like something rattling in the distance is like very a nerve-wracking feel. And I feel like they've knocked it out of the park when it comes to like nailing the horror experience, and I think they did an awesome job with Resident Evil Village.
And
And
you're right. Like again, see, the game has so many sequels. It has to evolve at some point of time, right? So taking that first evolution step on Resident Evil 7 through the first point, first perspective, was a brilliant strategy. Again, because they're focusing on the storyline, the whole horror aspect to it, everything like that. Now, if you want to please the the classic players who've been playing throughout the whole entire thing. Now, you brought up a good topic about bringing mods. So why not have mods that can actually go into a third-person point of view, just so they can please that kind of fan base, rather than changing the whole game itself. Do you know what I mean?
Or you can always, give like, the gamers the option. Like, how Elder Scrolls Skyrim did it, where you had the option. You can go first person, or you can go third person, and you don't have to like probably redesign the game. You can just have that option. And
That's true.
see that's what I wanted. I mean, that is one of the things I wanted in Cyberpunk was the option. I said I prefer third person. I mean, like Crow said, like when you sit there, deck out your character with the clothes or with the weapons you're carrying or things like that. You want to see them, and that'll immerse you. That immerse you even more. So, like I said, it's always best to give the gamer the option of either third person or or first person by just like hitting that select button or whatever.
Yeah. All right. So, on this Resident Evil showcase, they also announced that Resident Evil 4 VR is announced for the Oculus Quest 2. And, I've had the Quest 2 since launch, and, this is a very good device, and it really pushes the VR industry.
Yep.
And, they are planning on making this standalone version, one on the Oculus Quest 2. And I believe it's an exclusive. And from what I've seen from this trailer, it does look pretty promising. It looks like they did upgrade the graphics a little bit from the original Resident Evil 4. And also you get to solve some interesting puzzles, as well as, it's very intuitive when you have to like reload your weapons and shoot the zombies down. So it's pretty interesting. And, keep in mind that the Oculus Quest 2, it is a standalone headset, but the chip is actually only about a 1 teraflop of performance. So, you're not getting like PC quality graphics from like 2016. Like, I believe the 2016 spec was about 3 or 4 teraflops at the time, and that's the minimum spec to run VR. So, we'll see what they can do with Resident Evil 4 VR. And, do you guys think that, there's a possibility of Resident Evil 4 VR moving on other platforms? Like, do you see this moving to the PSVR? Or do you think that this is going to stay as an Oculus exclusive?
I could see this be on the PlayStation VR as well, because, like I said earlier, we also had Resident Evil 7 VR, and that was exclusive to PlayStation. And like I said, fantastic. Like I said, I beat it without the VR, and I dived in with the VR. It adds so much immersion to it. And if it stays on even on Oculus as an exclusive, I'm already looking to pick up the Oculus for VR to stream on my PC and things like that. And I'm also interested in the PlayStation VR 2, which they announced it, but they didn't give a date when it's coming.
I think it's smart to keep it on the Oculus Quest 2. It's like an exclusive. It sells the thing. You also got to remember that the Oculus Quest 2's vision is to give VR at a cheaper price. You mentioned that you wanted 2016 quality at 3 to 4 teraflops. Well, that also comes with 3 to 4 teraflop price point, right?
Now, can the Oculus do like 1080p?
Yeah, so the Quest 2 does have a very good specs on it. So you're getting like about 4K resolution per eye. It's almost 4K. It's not quite 4K, when you compare it to like, there was another one called, what was it? There was one by HP and Valve, I believe.
Is it the HTC Vive?
No, it's like HP.
Oh,
Okay, let me see.
But
It provides
speaking of VR,
1832 by 1920.
Yeah, so it's not quite the specs of a HP Reverb G2. That's like a 500 headset you can buy for a PC. But this is a very good headset in my opinion. Like you get like close to 4K resolution per eye, and keep in mind this is only $300. And the graphics are actually pretty decent. Like it's actually at double the performance of the original Quest. And they've also done some benchmarks, and actually the graphical performance is twice than the Nintendo Switch. So this is actually pretty decent, and the chip that's actually being used is similar to smartphones that released in 2020. So think of like the Samsung Galaxy S20 and things like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you got to think that the Oculus Quest 2, I'm not going to say it takes up the same space as something like the Valve Index or whatever it may be. But if you can imagine going to a store and you're a parent, right? And your kid is like VR, VR, VR. And you go to the store and you say VR. And you see a $300 headset. And then you see a $700 headset. And then you see a $1,000 headset. $999, $699 respectively. And then you see the $299. It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
On top
but
of
however, speaking of VR, I know Windu used to own a PlayStation VR, right?
Yeah, still got it.
Yeah.
Just
So
right on the other side of the computer.
how easy was it to like plug into the system and start playing it?
Oh, I heard a lot of bad things about the PSVR, man. Like how you had to set up so many
Well, same.
wires and
Uh,
it took
I
up
don't
so
know
much
how the
space, right? Like
Oculus
it's
might be
crazy.
like legit.
I
Yeah,
have
you might be
I
like
have the
5
Oculus Rift.
wires and shit. You got the headset, and it's like, oh, you know what? I now think about it. I gotta, plug in my headphones to this little adapter right here. Now I gotta have a headset on top of a headset.
Yup.
Shit going on. It's
Yeah, the Oculus
it
Rift.
could be complicated.
I have the original Oculus Rift.
Mhm.
Not the consumer kit too, but the original one is 2 HDMI ports, and then you have to have a USB per camera. So that's 4 ports taken up already. It comes built in with headphones that you could remove and use your own. So that'd be 5 ports taken up. Yeah. So
Yeah, so basically you are just getting plugged into the matrix kind of a
yeah. There's a lot of wires, and if
Yeah,
you want,
essentially.
if you
Right.
Wait,
want,
is the
I can
Quest 2 that way?
the Quest 2 is
Considering it's a
wireless.
lot more friendly.
It's wireless?
It's
Oh.
wireless. It just
Yeah.
like it's like I think it's like one.
So,
It might be
like-
even just one cable, like a USB-C cable. I know that they were advertising.
like
Yeah,
the
you could connect to the
closest thing to-
PC. There is PC capabilities. You can wireless stream from your PC. And like I did that with Half-Life Alex, and that was really incredible. Like I saw no latency, to be honest, when I did the wireless VR. And
Like-
that's a really good thing. You get two good things in this Oculus Quest 2. You get the wireless streaming capability of your PC to your Quest, and also you have standalone VR whenever you if you're in a place with
can't wire it up.
bad connection or like bad range, like you also get the wireless aspect of the Quest. So
Yeah,
that's,
the Quest 2 is wireless, and if you want to hook it up to your PC, it comes with it comes with a USB-C cable.
nice.
Like I have little to zero experience on VR except for owning a Samsung Gear VR, right?
Mhm.
That was okay. Like I'm not lying to you. Like I am like literally zero with this kind of thing going on with the VR technology. But there was one thing that bothered me the most about owning that VR, right? Because I believe Samsung geared up with Oculus. Now, because Samsung geared up with Oculus during this point, when I had to log in, I needed to, like, it didn't give me any other option but to register to Facebook and log in through Facebook. And that annoyed me because I created a whole new Facebook page just so I can use this thing. Now, does that mean like even the Oculus Quest 1 and 2, do you have to have own Facebook account in order to log in?
Yeah, that was one of the big issues with the Quest 2 on launch, and I had this issue when I had it on launch. So basically, the how it works is that you have to have a Facebook account linked to your Oculus Quest account, and at the time I had another what was it? At the time, I actually created a new account by accident, so I lost all my data from my last account. And so what happened was I linked my new Facebook account to my new Oculus account. So I lost all access to my Oculus account when I tried to like go back and like unlink it and relink it. I couldn't unlink at all at the time. So there's been a huge issue with how Oculus does the whole support thing, like how you can go through the unlink process. And like at the time, like they were swamped with like customer support at the time, so I had to wait like literally like 2 weeks for my account to unlink just to use my Oculus Quest. Like it's ridiculous. So like
yeah, how Facebook's handling that is not my favorite thing on planet Earth.
Nah,
So I'm just gonna leave it,
when it
yeah.
comes to that, like there are some issues in terms of like the customer support and the wait time for the tickets and things like that. So for that aspect, like I understand why people are upset about the whole Facebook thing. Like they don't want to use social media and like they don't use Facebook. So I do understand that point of view.
I mean, like if to be honest with you, that whole entire experience kind of made me go off of it because even though I own that Samsung Gay, I was just like, it's just sitting in the corner collecting dust. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those
Yeah, I
things.
stopped development on the Oculus Rift when they announced that Facebook integration is like it's required.
Yeah,
So
that's a no go for me because I legit decided to go off Facebook because it used to give me a lot of headache, and in order to go back onto it, it's just like, man, no, thank you. Like, nah, I'll try and
Yeah,
find
but you
like
know,
those.
you're not really using Facebook. It's just a one-time thing. You know, it's just a one-time thing to link your account, and you know that's it really. Like it's you're not really, you know, you're not getting like messages on the Quest. You know, like it's not like they can see you
No. I
online.
know that. I understand that aspect of it, but it's just like, why not give me a faster solution? Like, for example, most of the things nowadays, right, gives you an option to sign in through Google,
yep.
right?
Yeah.
So why not
True.
give me that option to sign me through Google? Why do I need to own a fucking Facebook account in order to log in? It's just,
And
it's
it would
just
be
crazy.
fine with Facebook integration
Mhm.
if there wasn't so much controversy surrounding Facebook, which is a lot of the reason why people are like, I don't
Mhm.
want to support this endeavor
Mhm.
because it's linked to Facebook. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm one of the reasons why, like, that is one of the reasons why I stopped, developing projects for the VR platform of the Oculus Rift, because when they announced that it was Facebook integration like required, I didn't want to isolate people. Like even if I had a project out, I didn't want to isolate people into having to have a Facebook account. I feel like something like a free market design is much more important, especially for a game developer or an indie game or just a project for fun, even if you put out for free or $5 or whatever it may be. That's $5 of somebody's hard-earned money. And if they hop into your game and they have to have Facebook, it's not a good look on you. You just be careful who you walk with, because you can get some dirty stares. And that's something that I have to keep in mind as a developer myself.
But
Yeah,
yeah, just
so
was like the whole aspect of having the Facebook account is just like one of those things where I was there. Like, again, I agree with Deli on this. It's just like one of those aspects is the fact that there is so much controversies around Facebook, that I personally don't try to do any kind, like, streaming or marketing or advertising or whatever it is on Facebook, whatsoever. And I do own like a Smurf account on Facebook. You know what I mean? I do own a Smurf account. That's just to like, I don't know, just log into a game or something like that doesn't use up any of my data, like privacy issues or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I don't have to worry about that kind of a thing. And yeah, other than that, if it if it's supported to log in through Google, yeah, I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
Nice.
yeah. All right, so hopefully this does turn out to be a good thing with the Resident Evil 4 VR being on the Oculus Quest 2. And I am excited for it. Let's see what they can do. This is gonna be the first AAA experience on the Oculus Quest 2. And let's see if it turns out to be a very good thing. And so moving on here, we're going to be moving on to our next topic. And so our next topic is the lead director of Overwatch, Jeff Kaplan, is leaving Blizzard. So this is definitely a very disappointing news. It's a sad news for Blizzard and their fans. And so, actually, I did like Overwatch back in the day. I was hooked on it for quite some time. And so, did you guys have any good impressions when you first played Overwatch?
Honestly, I didn't play Overwatch at all. People are gonna
Really?
hate me for it, but I never played.
Yeah,
I never played Overwatch.
I'm an Overwatch hater. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was a big fan
Yeah.
of Battleborn. I liked Battleborn. I know one of like 10 people in the world who
I
played
played
that game. It was fun. It pretty much everything about it was to me attractive as a game. It made all the modes that were difficult for other people to play, like in the MOBA mode, um, much more down to earth and easy to understand. Overwatch to me felt like a lot of issues that Blizzard has had in the past when it comes to other games, namely Heroes of the Storm, where
Mm.
they do this thing where they want to create a game for the sake of esport and not create a good game. Good games like CS:GO, League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, pretty much any esport heavy game was always a successful game prior to esport. You never saw LCS being a thing until League was an established thing, right? They always say like the first Worlds or the first big championship was actually just the Rift Rivals because it was just a bunch of people in a room, EU versus US. Same thing with CS:GO. CS:GO did not like in its first initial state, it was a train wreck. Same thing with Rainbow Six Siege. They had Operation Health, and I think they're having a second Operation Health, and it became an esport after the game was already established. Unlike Heroes of the Storm, where they try to create a team MOBA-esque game, not following the traditional pipeline of MOBAs, and then push the esports scene onto that. And I think that they did the same thing with Overwatch. And I mean, there are a few other gripes with the game that I have: map design, character design, hero kit design, that kind of deal. And a lot of participation trophies. You can literally do 2 points of damage and get an entire assist point for that. To me, I understand, all the controversies and everything and the game design mechanics that are surrounding that. I understand it's designed for casuals and to hook people.
Mhm.
I think for actual esport, I think that's a step in the wrong direction. And to me, I've always been not a fan of Overwatch because of that.
I mean, I played again. I never touched Overwatch, mainly because of the fact it's just like when I looked at it, it looks cool and fun and all, but is it something that I would play it? No. And I played Battleborn, and Battleborn was an amazing game, dude. Like I really enjoyed it. Like I used to just log into it pretty much every hour or so per day, even if I couldn't get the time. I somehow managed to get the 1 hour slot where I could just log into a game, enjoy the crap out of it. The whole entire experience playing the game was much more pleasing for me as a gamer. Do you know what I mean? So Overwatch, I'm not really much. I never like. Okay, it looks cool on the trailer. It looks everything better. All of this, whatever it is, but not something that I would get into. I would never try it. I won't even give it a try to get into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so shout out to DQ's Blizzards in the chat. He says, LOL, not Battleborn. So, there are some haters out there for Battleborn, and I believe that game flopped, pretty quick, right? Like it didn't last pretty long.
Oh, Battleborn was a huge flop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be fair, it was an impartial decision on Blizzard's part to delay the game, to delay Overwatch, and then when Battleborn released, Overwatch decided to open their open beta on the day of release.
It was a
It's
similar thing.
pretty scummy of Blizzard, but
It was a similar thing when it came with Paragon as well, right, Windu?
Yeah.
So it was just like Fortnite just popped into the scene and Paragon just fell short, right?
Yes, and I liked
Yeah.
Paragon. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Not, but I used to be like a diehard Overwatch fan. I put like a lot of hours into Overwatch. Played the shit out of it on my Xbox because back in the day I was just strictly Xbox. I didn't have a PC or anything. But it was me and my friends. We just played the shit out of Overwatch, and I loved it. I tried both of the demos of Overwatch and plus the demo of Battleborn. Battleborn did not appease to me at all. I didn't care for it. I was all about Overwatch. My favorite character I made on Overwatch was the tank. I can't think of its name right now. He's the one can morph into the gun and shit. But yeah, I loved Overwatch, and it's sad to hear that Jeff Kaplan's leaving. Oh, he's been there 19 years. He helped make World of Warcraft. I wasn't a huge fan of World of Warcraft, and it's just sad because now we got Overwatch 2 that's supposed to be being made, and it's been delayed several times. And now we have his assistant that's taking over. Is it going to be good? Will it? We'll have to wait and see.
Like the thing with Blizzard again is like I played Heroes of the Storm. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still got it installed on my PC.
Nice.
The concept of the game is good. As a mobile kind of thing is good, but again, it just felt lackluster in many things. Right? It's just I lost after playing like one or two matches. I just kind of got bored out of it. I was there like, you know what? Let me just switch over to the next game because it's just like it's the same old thing, repeat same thing, do the same thing. It just didn't give me any kind of like a challenging aspect to it. Like to be honest with you, even now when I'm playing any kind of a mobile, the only thing is, I'm a new mouse and keyboard player, right? I used to be a console player, strictly console, right? So switching over to keyboard and mouse, I'm still trying to get used to it. Pressing the W key forward when I'm not supposed to, right? And yeah, so like, imagine if I played that on if I played Overwatch on PC, I'm just gonna be terrible at it. And second thing is like the whole aesthetic again is just not pleasing for me. And Blizzard does tend to rush a lot of things out there to the general public, saying, "Hey man, we got a new game for you. Try it out." And most of the casual players will get hooked onto it because they don't know much about certain things. And when they learn about a new game, and if it's very easy to just maneuver around and go around and start killing people or shooting people and just earning easy points, I'm like, yeah, it's like you're just gonna find yourself just in a bunch of trolls, like crowded with a bunch of trolls, and you're just gonna get haters and you're just gonna get gloaters, and it's just off-putting as a general concept, really.
Yeah, so for me, actually, when I first played it, I was hooked for a bit until I found another similar game by Hi-Rez called Paladins. And
Yes!
to be honest, like I felt like the balance team in Paladins did a way better job than Blizzard. Like they're doing a very good job when it comes to like balancing the tanks, the support classes, and like all the the flanker classes. Like I believe they did a very good job with how they balance the characters. And I actually did look into the subreddit of Overwatch here, and so there's been a huge disarray of like people being confused. Like, is this really a esport or is it just a casual shooter? And like people were like, even the pro scene was very, very in disarray about this game because like they kept saying like, oh, why are you really seeing this broken character with this broken ability? And like why are you balancing the tanks to be like so powerful and things like that. And I believe there was a character in the game, there's a support character in the game where it allowed your teammates to be invulnerable for some time, and a lot of the pro players are like very against that. Like they were very angry that they allowed this ability to be in this character, and they were asking for a rework, but instead of a rework they just made it so that they made a minor patch to his kit, but they didn't actually rework his abilities. So it looks like they're not listening to their fans at all, which is very bad to see.
That's actually one of Blizzard's biggest problems because they're just so focused into the goddamn thing. They don't give a shit about what the community has to say. They just ignore it and they just push out whatever content they think is technically right in their eyes. Do you know what I
Which
mean?
is, which is audience retention, which is casualness. They do the same thing that NetherRealm Studios does, which is why I refuse to support Mortal Kombat. They just don't. Top-down balancing is just not a thing. If you have people whose entire livelihoods, and I'm talking like the Overwatch League is like a big thing. Like it's a big deal. They have like,
Huge.
houses set up in cities to compete like a straight basketball tournament kind of deal. They poured so much money into this, franchising the whole 9 yards. If you are not going to listen to your pros, the people who play your game religiously, the top 1% of the 1%, on how things should be developed and designed, then I don't know what to tell you. If you design for the bottom line, which is also another thing that Paragon had an issue with and several other esport games, if you design for the bottom line, you will never have people who are at the skill ceiling be happy, because it makes the game easier, it makes the game more casual. Something NetherRealm is continually doing to Mortal Kombat, and that's off-putting for the pros, because what's the point of pouring your entire livelihood into something
Like,
when somebody who's played the game a tenth of the time that you have has an equal chance to beat you? What is the point of practicing?
For me, I mean, since you brought the topic of Mortal Kombat, I'm a big fighting game nerd. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a big fighting game nerd. And you are right. There are some characters in there, right, that is just fucking ridiculous when it comes to putting the combos out right. Sorry?
Noob Saibot.
Yeah, Noob Cyber. Like, and then also, like you said, with the thing, but like, putting aside to all of that, but also I'm looking at it like my love for the game, right? The Mortal Kombat game is so much that I am kind of closing my eyes on some of the broken shit that they are putting out there. And I go with like a low tier fighters. Do you know what I mean? Because I get this kind of need to be like, I need to prove myself something. Like, I want to challenge something, because a lot of people out there will just fucking. A lot of people out there, like Windu said, like, choose Noob Saibot or Jericho or other characters where they can just kind of just put you in this combo constantly. Do you know what I mean? And then afterwards is the, like, even if you try to block it and you're supposed to block it, but it doesn't, and still they manage to get that hit. That's annoying as shit.
Yeah, and I'm tired of them disrespecting my man Sub-Zero for years now. Sorry, that's all.
No, they haven't, bro. But hold on, let me ask you guys something on this subject out of curiosity.
Yeah,
because I do agree of the whole balancing from the top down, right? But we got to be mindful also. Let's say that 1%, right? Like the 1% out of a million, realistically, the other 99% are the ones that are paying the bills.
Yeah, I understand protecting your bottom dollar, but
because here's the thing, Mortal Kombat specifically has been known to be a little bit rougher as far as fighting, as far as combos, as far as timing. It's a lot slower than some. You pick up Fighter Z, you spam square 5 times in a row, you did a combo. Same thing with triangle, same thing with circle.
Yeah. That's why I like to I like to say that play a real fighting game, play Tekken. You'll never see Sonic Fox playing Tekken.
You're right. You are correct, because like,
he'll play Soul Calibur. I've seen him play Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
But he won't play Tekken.
Sorry, real quick, we're kind of getting off topic here. I don't want to drag into that, but with the Overwatch here, back to the Overwatch topic. So with Jeff Kaplan leaving, a lot of the community is in a very bad state at the moment. Like, they're saying that, they actually had plans for Overwatch 2, but now that Jeff Kaplan is leaving, who made Overwatch initially, who is leaving, now they're saying like, is this still a thing, fam? Like, is Overwatch 2 still a thing? So it looks like they are questioning about, Blizzard's future about the game. And so do you think it's going to be a wrap for Overwatch 2, or will there be a sequel for Overwatch?
There's going to be a sequel for Overwatch.
I personally believe there will be a sequel, because it's just Blizzard. And second thing is, like, yes, Jeff Kaplan did leave the Overwatch community, but also, a lot of people are going to be diehard fans about it. Is they like, what's going to happen to this, and what's the future of the games going to be like, and everything. To be honest, it could be a negative and a positive side that comes out of it, right? And the negative side could be that it can just go completely, but I'm out, kind of a situation. The positive is it could evolve. You could get a different mindset that can bring into this team and be like start implementing certain things to the game.
See, I
that
think
we
that's
have
what they
not
need.
seen
Yeah,
I think that's what they need because Overwatch, when it started, it was, you know, it was hip, it was new, revolutionary, borderline. It was exciting, and
One game of the
over
year.
time, I was gonna say, like over time, we just seen Overwatch almost become stale while trying not to be, right?
yeah.
So that honestly could be because it's the same leadership. Like like to give you a counter reference, music 10 years ago isn't what music is today.
I agree.
Mhm.
Like you know, things evolve. But if you have the same music artist making the same music he was making 10 years ago, he's not famous, popular, relevant anymore.
Especially as a live service game, even with Kaplan being having an excellent track record with World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade, Lich King, and then of course obviously Overwatch. Having a fresh, younger face, a younger, hipper idea, something that brings Overwatch to what it could be, and you know, is a possibility. But also on the opposite sequel, or on the opposite side with Joker's point, losing a seasoned veteran like that is not a great look, which is
No.
a lot of the backlash that they're getting right. Well, not the backlash, but the negative feedback that they're getting right now, right? It's a lot of one of those big shoes to fill kind of deal. But like the music industry point that Windu was saying, especially with the live service game like Overwatch, things are going to change. Things are going to have to change. You know, you can't release Overwatch again every single year, the same game every single year over and over again, and expect fans to just be complacent about it. Overwatch 2 will happen, of course. There's no reason it won't. But I think Overwatch 2 is going to definitely be in the not in the opposite direction, but in a lateral move to the original Overwatch, partially because of Kaplan's design.
And who knows, whoever they bring in next to actually, you know, overlook this project and start implementing certain things, maybe in the near future, God knows, maybe by the time I'm like 40 or something, I might give it a shot. I might give it a shot.
I'm 40. What the hell?
You know what I mean? Because it's gonna take a lot of work to fix that game, and that's why I said 40. It's just gonna give it like another 10, 11 years till I'm able to actually load this game up on my PC and be like, hey man, let's give Overwatch a try, you know?
Like I said, I think they're going to continue making Overwatch 2. They already said on IGN.com that the assistant director of Kaplan, Aaron Keller, is going to take his place and finish making the game. So, like I said, Overwatch 2 is going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
It'll be hands down. Will I try it? Absolutely. Like I said, I was a big fan of Overwatch, and like I said, I just stopped playing because it like Windu said, it grew stale after a while, and plus, you know, some of the characters wasn't as balanced. Like I remember when I stopped playing, the one thing that made me stop playing was the character Reaper when they gave him like a buff and they buffed him and debuffed like the rest of the characters. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I mean, it was like hard to kill Reapers. It is. I mean, when he was in the game, and then when they buffed
Reaper's
him,
shots were so OP before.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, when he shoots you, he gains life back, and when they buffed it even more, I'm like, what's the point? What's the point of playing? Because it's like almost unstoppable to kill him. I'm like, I'm done with this game, so I installed it and moved on to like Paladins, and which I love.
Bro, I honestly tell you, I was actually quite impressed the way Paladins was set up. Like it was so easy, just loading. They gave you the tutorial, what you need to do. Focus on, like, you know, if you're a new player into this kind of a thing, they just bought this tutorial where it's like, okay, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do. Done. Then the second thing is they actually put you into the game with the matchmaking the matchmaking system that's going on in the thing is on point because you're not going up against people who are veterans, or they're not going against people who are like intermediate. You're actually matched up with the same level skill set. And then afterwards, what it tends to do is it learns off your previous games, and the next game it puts you on the people who's equally skilled by looking at the kill death ratio, and then afterwards they're looking at what you're doing within the game, like with the item building system, because bro, that shit is a fire. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I looked at Paladins and I loaded up the game, like I said, I was a console player, right? So actually that was available on PlayStation 4. And I honestly tell you, I played that straight for the next 3 weeks. Right? Played that straight for the next 3 weeks ever since I downloaded it. And then afterwards, obviously, the only reason I didn't play it because new games like Ghost of Tsushima started coming into this mix and everything like that. So I was there like, I need to jump on that.
Yeah, I'm
You
a big
know what I
fan
mean?
of Ghost.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So that's the main reason why I stopped playing it. But I still, speaking of it, I got Paladins installed on my PC.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
That was
know
the first
too
thing
much
I
about the
downloaded.
state of Paladins right now, if there is still a pretty decent community. But I do believe that Wyatt is becoming the new Blizzard in a way. If you think about Valorant, and also they have Runeterra, that's their equivalent of Hearthstone in a way. And they're also coming out with the fighting game as well, and also a what was the other one? I think there was an MMO as well coming out. So they got a lot of good IPs coming out for Wyatt games. So I do believe that Wyatt may overtake Blizzard at some point. So
Riot's got a very good, like Deli said, Riot's got a very good fan base, right? Like they have this community that they built. It was a very well established community even before joining the esports. And Blizzard, again, when you match up Blizzard with Riot, Blizzard doesn't stand a chance when it comes to competing in the esports as much as League does or Riot's team does. Do you know what I mean? And that's where Blizzard is going wrong. You know what? Just stick to WoW and just stick to WoW alone, because that's what you're known for doing and that's what you're good for. Before you release a next project, make sure you have testers going through it, making sure that you have the gamers to try the alpha testing phase, the beta testing phase, whatever it is. Learn from the feedback. Once they actually learn from the feedback and implement certain fixes, then push the game out to the public. But before that, don't just assume that people will just start playing this game because we created WoW. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those things.
yeah. Yeah, so hopefully, we do get some exciting news for Overwatch 2, and their fans are pleased with that result. So we'll see what happens with that. So moving on here, I will be talking about Nintendo sales figures, and they have been pretty strong in early April. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but Monster Hunter Rise has been a very hot commodity for the Nintendo Switch. As we did have an NPD result here from the American Market Research Company that released new information. And actually, Monster Hunter Rise became the 4th best-selling game in 2021 after about only a month of lifetime sales, which is really impressive. And also, it's also the 2nd best-selling game in March, following Call of Duty World at War. Or I think it's Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. So that's really exciting to see. And so we have the list here. So I'm just going to say the list of the top 5 at the moment of the top.
Is this in Nintendo?
Do what?
What was your question?
The list, like the top 10 selling. Is this like
No, this is like
in
all time,
Nintendo
like
or in
PS4, Xbox, Nintendo, like all the
Okay.
all platforms. Yeah, so I'm going to say the list right here of the top 5 best selling in 2021. So this is all platforms. So we have number 1, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Number 2, we have Super Mario 3D World. And like Nintendo finessed like so many people with their timed release of Super Mario 3D World. Like you can only buy it in a timed window. So they finessed so many people with that move. But anyways, we have number 3. We have Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. Then we have Monster Hunter Rise following Miles Morales. So it is pretty impressive to see that
Wait,
a Monster
Miles
Hunter game.
Morales. 1 second. Well, you said Miles Morales. Did it hit the chart 2 times, or is it just once?
Twice.
Twice? So
No,
it
well, it's
came in.
it's the third best selling of 2021,
Oh,
like so
okay.
far.
So
It's a hot
okay.
game. It's hot.
So
I saw Benji's sales talk about Spider-Man Miles Morales, and since the launch of PS5 and it's now sold like 5 million, it's selling huge.
I mean,
Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales.
it's
I think even Benji said it's got legs right now and it's running.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that was the first game I bought for my PlayStation 5, hands down.
Dude.
right.
I
Like-
started playing it. It's fucking fantastic.
Yep, I agree.
So from the impressions that I got from Miles Morales is like the first time I actually watched. I couldn't get my hands on the PlayStation 5, unfortunately, until now. Even now, I'm still trying to scour the web, and I'm still not finding any luck. But I was looking at the gameplay, and I was looking at some of the videos, and my God, did my brain just go right when I looked at certain things? The story, the whole free roam, swinging, or you should call it swinging roam, whatever you call it, right? So, but yeah, I was just mind blown with the whole thing, and also, yeah, it makes sense as to why it would be top selling because it is a PlayStation exclusive, right? So a lot of
Well,
people
isn't
will be
Monster Hunter Rise an exclusive too?
Yeah,
Uh,
Monster Hunter Rise isn't exclusive to Nintendo Switch.
exactly.
for-
Yeah, it's
Or
a
now,
timed
it's a
it's
time-
a timed exclusive, yeah, for 1 year, until it
Yeah.
goes
Yeah,
to PC. But still, it's technically
So, like-
it's a console exclusive when you talk about like PS4 and Xbox. So it is like a console exclusive.
So look at right now, like a PlayStation 5 is a very hot commodity right now
Yes.
to have, right? And to own. So yes, Miles Morales Spider-Man will be there on the top sales list because there's a lot of people over there just trying to get hold of the PlayStation 5. And they want to play games. They want to play next gen games. And the first thing that comes into their head is what is the next gen game that's actually developed for the PlayStation 5? And the first thing that they think about is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Right?
my younger brother bought Spider-Man Miles Morales before he even got hands on a PlayStation 5.
Same.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And then once he got his hands on a PlayStation 5, it was over. He was like, this is the definitive experience so far.
Bruh,
And,
Have any
I
of you
just-
played Monster Hunter Rise?
I haven't played it.
So
But I did play Monster Hunter World for PlayStation 4. Bro,
sir.
loved it. Great
So-
game.
I played most of the Monster Hunter releases out there, and I do own a Nintendo Switch emulator on a PC, and I did try the Monster Hunter Rise, right? And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm actually pretty impressed with it, right? Especially for being on a handheld Switch, and the port that they've done for it, on point, especially when it comes to a whole entire thing and the experience of it, especially because I was a big Monster Hunter player before. I had it on the PlayStation. I bought the first game, second game, Iceborne, everything, right? So,
Right.
and to be honest with you, if I had the option to actually go around places and play on Nintendo Switch and enjoy, because I really enjoyed playing that game, right? So if I could have it on a portable edition and I could just move around places and play it while, for example, if I'm commuting from my place, Nottingham, to London, and it's just a 2-hour journey, bro, I would love to get hold of Nintendo Switch and actually play Monster Hunter Rise. Like, I would play Monster Hunter games point blank. Do you know what I mean? And the whole game itself, yeah, the way they ported it over to the Switch and making it so friendly and aesthetically pleasing for the younger generation that's growing up learning how to play the game at the same time pleasing the already existent players that's actually enjoying the game too. They actually hit the nail, and also doing the time release is a genius move. It's a very genius move.
From what
Yeah.
I've gathered on the internet, Monster Hunter Rise is not a cheap port of
No.
Monster Hunter World on Switch. It is its own entity. It takes what's
Mm.
good about World and it implements it into something a little bit more casual. Anyway, that's the information I've gathered from the internet. So to me, hearing that, I think that also contributes to the success of Rise, because it's also its own thing. It's not some
Mhm.
cheap port, and you're like, well, Monster Hunter World doesn't exist for the Switch, so this is the closest thing. Like, it's not that at all.
Nah.
So,
But I tried the demo. It was all right. I only tried it once, and like I said, it didn't sell me very well because when I first tried the demo, it had the frame drops and everything. I was like, nah, I don't know. It wasn't selling me, so I was like, I'm gonna skip on it. I'm gonna wait for the PC version, and that's what I'm waiting on to play the Monster Hunter Rise on PC.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the only reason I even downloaded the Nintendo Switch emulator was to play freaking Pokemon.
There you go. And I know a lot of
Wow.
people have done it.
That's the main reason why I downloaded the emulator. I was there like, let me
I
play
had
some
it-
Pokemon.
I had a friend. I ain't gonna lie. On the platform podcast, he's on a strictly PC master race, as he preaches all the time, and he recently won a Nintendo Switch. But before that, the big game everybody was playing on the Nintendo Switch when the thing launched was Breath of the Wild. Me, I didn't care for Breath of the Wild. I thought it was overhyped, but that's the one. That was like the main reason why he downloaded the emulator so he can play Breath of the Wild. And he's like, 4K ray tracing, Mike, emulator. He goes, it's amazing. I was like, I guess.
like the speaking of Breath of the Wild, the best Zelda game is Ocarina of Time. Changed my mind. Like that's the best game. That's the best game.
That was a good one, but mine was Link's Awakening. I loved Link's Awakening.
Oh man, for me, I really
y'all are
enjoyed
killing me. Twilight Princess gang.
Oh,
That one wasn't bad either. Another good one was Wind Waker. Another good one was Wind Waker. But me, like I said, Breath of the Wild just didn't do anything for me. I didn't like the weapon system. I didn't like how things broke, and I didn't like how they did with the Master Sword, where they put like a time limit on the Master Sword, how you can use it. I'm like, nah.
That's my biggest gripe with Breath of the Wild too. Also, like on the Switch, there were way too many buttons. For for the actual like Joy-Cons. Yeah, it's just really unintuitive to run and jump in that game.
Mhm.
Like, there's no reason you should be holding Y. And then like moving, like sprinting, and then hopping off of it. It's very unintuitive. And I think it's best played on a controller, which is an additional $60. And I don't want to spend $120 on a video game.
True.
I totally agree with you because those fucking Joy-Cons, I don't take them off my Switch. I haven't took them off the Switch since I bought the damn thing. I was one of the first bought the Pro Controller. I was like,
oh yeah, for my Switch, I strictly use handheld mode. I refuse to use display mode.
My nephew bought has a Switch also. He's like, Uncle Mike, come down here and play Mario Kart 8 with me. So I tried the Joy-Con on his. I felt like I with my big hands, I got these giant hands. I felt like I was going to crush just the Joy-Con by playing it. I was like, bruh, my hands were like Hulk smash.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I have like raccoon hands. So like,
yeah,
I'm cool.
I'm cool with it. But yeah. So what other games did you say that made?
Yeah, so I'm just glad that Monster Hunter Rise is getting a lot of success here. And it says here that the game actually sold 5 million copies worldwide, and this is actually a very successful IP. Monster Hunter is a very successful IP in Japan, but it looks like the sales figures in US has also been pretty good, and I believe it's I believe it's close to 1 million at this point. And it says here that
in a month, right?
Yeah, this is only about a month so far. Yeah, so the the sales are really, really impressive for Monster Hunter Rise. And actually, they are using the RE engine. The Switch is capable of running the RE engine. And I've seen a few streams of this game, and this game looks very beautiful, to be honest. And it's crazy to see how they packed everything into the Switch's limited hardware. And it's a very beautiful game. When I did watch a couple of streams of it, and it's pretty interesting.
Capcom is really good at using their engine's capabilities very well when it comes to producing certain games, right? So, again, using the RE engine for Monster Hunter World, it's a good shout. To say, hey, why not just try it, see if it works, see how it goes on, experiment with it, and then afterwards, eventually, when they tested it out, I'm pretty sure it went through a multiple testing phases before they actually released it out to the public. So shout out to them, like, hey, they got this shit on point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the RE engine is great. I think it rivals that of something like id Tech. I think that the best engine right now currently is id Tech. It runs on all hardware. It runs on old hardware, legacy consoles. It runs on last gen, current gen. It's an absolutely fantastic, robust engine. I think it's, like I said, it's second to none right now in the current industry. Right, that is an engine that is able to be used studio wide.
Mhm.
I think
And
the worst engine is tied between the Frostbite engine and Squeenix's Luminosity engine. But that's a
oh my
personal
god,
opinion.
Luminosity
oh,
looks
excuse me.
beautiful.
So Frostbite, I will definitely agree to you on that because that engine sucks.
That
Like
engine's
it
trash.
sucks.
That engine's
It
trash.
is.
Which is kind of crazy because, like, the Bethesda, the Bethesda Fallout, I can't remember what it's called. That engine is like, I would put that engine above the Frostbite engine
Yeah,
solely
exactly.
for the fact that the Frostbite engine has legacy bugs,
Mhm.
which is something I don't understand how you could. I don't understand how you can have that.
Yeah, and not only that, like also Frostbite engine kind of made my favorite sports game just
Madden.
go bad. No, not Madden,
Mhm.
FIFA.
See,
Oh
FIFA.
yeah, FIFA, yeah.
Yeah, so
see, did you said about Bethesda? Bethesda's got like a super outdated engine. That's one engine it needs like revamped or just a brand. They just need a brand new engine altogether. So me personally, when Microsoft bought ZeniMax, I'm hoping Microsoft will throw the money and say, "Here, make an engine."
Well, to be
but
honest with you, because they own id Tech, I don't think that.
yeah,
I think they should trash the creation engine and just start using id Tech. Personal
it
opinion.
Tech runs on a Vulkan API and I think believe it's OpenGL. Is
Yeah,
that right?
and it's fast. It is
Yeah.
fast, like across the board. So
So yeah, I mean, like especially because you can integrate it with multiple platforms.
yeah,
That's a thing, and yeah, Microsoft better utilize it
yeah, and
and carry on.
the consoles use Ryzen AMD tech anyways, so that's just another plus for the Vulkan API and OpenGL.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so it's definitely a good look for Nintendo. Looks like their one exclusive is doing pretty well. So it's nice to see that. And so we're going to be moving on to our next topic. And for this, I am going to screen share my this clip here. As you know, there was this Twitch streamer that said this very good point about the cost of video games. And he goes by Technique on Twitch.
Oh,
So I'm gonna be
yeah.
showing you guys this clip here, and then let me just change my screen. And okay, just give me a
While
moment.
you're doing that, I'll just give in thing. Technique is a good streamer. I'm not gonna lie to you. He's a good guy. He's got a good intentions when it comes to certain things, but his thought process is a little skewed for many reasons. But yeah, go ahead and share the screen.
All right. Okay, I think I have to. All right, just give me a moment. Oh shoot, this is messed up. All right, let me switch it again. And okay.
Right.
Okay, let me know when you're inside.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I'm in.
I mean,
Okay.
You know what's funny? Most games that people spend thousands and thousands of dollars on, they're probably not even going to play in the next couple of years. You know, a lot of people spend $100 on gacha waifus. Hey, man, if it makes them happy, why does it matter to us, Victory? Right? Why does it matter to us? Why do people feel the need to dictate what other people do with their money when they made it? You know, that's how I feel about it. And believe me, I was there, and I was like, yo, why the hell would somebody spend that much money on that? And then I caught myself and I was like, why would I ask that question? If that's making that person happy and they're enjoying their time, man, money is material. That shit ain't gonna matter by the time you're dead. You might as well go ahead and spend it. My thing is, as long as you're not putting yourself out of a house, a job, you know, your mental health or your health care, who gives a shit? Do what you got to do. I'd rather you be at home playing the games than be out in a grocery store with no mask on, talking shit to people and spitting on them. You know?
Yeah, so that's
You know what's
the
funny?
one
Most
clip.
games that
That's
people-
the one clip, and I also have another clip here. Just give me a moment. And so he talks about money being a material kind of thing, like, you know, what's the
Let's
point
put
of
off,
saving
but-
it? But I am going to be playing the second clip here. This is a much better clip.
was put off by it and the $60. I mean, you got to get used to the $60 tag on games. $60 is generous. We should be playing more. You know how much tech goes into making these games? I like if I wouldn't be surprised if games went up $70 to $80 because there's so much that goes in it. People always demand more. I demand better graphics. I demand smoother gameplay. I demand 120 FPS. I demand to be able to see this shit in my dreams when I close my eyes. And people just still don't want to pay $60. Like $60 is nothing compared to what goes into the game. You know, that's why you save your money and wait for things that you really like Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise is definitely the best $60 spent. Put off.
That's facts. Yeah. All right, let me switch the screen back here. And
Yep.
okay.
But yeah, so
All right.
If you guys wanted to go first on this discussion, I have a very long opinion on this.
me too.
Okay.
Believe me on this. Like, there are so many things that I need to say because. But yeah, if anybody else has got anything before I go off on it, you can go for it.
I'm just gonna say that it's gonna be a hard argument, man, because we're fucking spoiled by free is for me. We're spoiled by a monetization plan of DLC, add-ons, etc. Get the game for free, but give us $100 each month on all the shit that we create for you, etc. Fortnite being a great example of that. Excuse me, like we're just as a society, because of games like that, we've become spoiled to the cost of games getting lower. And now we got $15 games that are bomb ass games, $20 games that are just like, yo, fucking fire. Now you pay $40 for one that was like, eh. Now you're like, you know what? I'm sticking to the free ones, or I'm sticking to the one on $10, or when it goes on sale, I'm doing it. Like, I get all aspects of the conversation. Like, if I was a developer, I'm like, yo, you know what? Those are my pocket. That's my pocket that's hurting, low key. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'll be honest. Like, Outriders was a good example. I was like, Outriders, I'll buy it for $20.
Yeah, and we
I'm
talked
not
about
paying
that
$60
on the.
for it.
We talked about that on the previous episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, my long take being short is we're just too spoiled for the whole paying $60 for a game and getting every cent out of it to be as valuable as it was back then.
Yep.
Even though a lot more goes into it making it now.
Mike, did you want to go?
Mine's probably short and sweet. Person that said this, I think it was John Garvin, if I'm correct.
Well, I don't know his real name, but he goes by Techniq by Twitch on Twitch.
Technique, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where he got this was from the Days Gone creative director and writer John Garvin said if you want a sequel to the game of Days Gone, you have to go buy it full price. This is why they get
that's
a
actually
sequel.
going to be my next topic, but yeah, you can put
Personally,
that
I
in
think
the topic as well if you want.
my bad. I'm sorry, but me
It's all good.
personally, I think that's an asinine comment for him to say because like you said, some people can't just afford a full price game, and like Windu said, some people can't afford it, some people can. Gaming is expensive, and it's getting more expensive as it went full media. Like, because before, like when you had, I'm like an old school gamer. I started playing back on an Atari. It wasn't that expensive. You can get like an Atari cartridge for like $20, $30, and you're good. But now, I mean, since it's gone full force that gaming has, it's getting more expensive. It's getting more expensive to make games. Some people buy the games that when they go down to $30. Some people don't. I mean, to me, if the game is it's exciting, like I'll say Resident Evil Village, I'm super excited for it. I'm buying the digital deluxe edition for $80. But if it's like a new IP and some people are not sure about it, they're not going to probably risk it. They're going to let me see what the game's about from a reviewer or a YouTuber or a streamer. And if it ain't for me, they'll wait for the sale.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Well, my insights are, as a developer, I agree with this man. I really honestly do. I do not care what everybody says. If you like the game, support it, please. Because at the end of the day, the bottom line is if if the game costs $80 million to make, which is a very low budget, right? Games have gotten more expensive over the years, right? GTA 5 was a $500 million game. They made that back in one day. In pre-orders.
Damn.
In just pre-orders.
That's actually an extreme example. Rockstar is like loaded.
Modern Warfare 2 was a $350 million game. They made that money back.
I have GTA 5 and I got it for free on the Epic Store and I still haven't played it.
Yeah. Skyrim was a very expensive video game as well. And we're buying it for the 18th time. Like, these games are expensive. They're getting more and more expensive. These dev teams are getting bigger and bigger. I agree with Techniq. The consumers are getting very, very greedy. And I think that's something that, I talked about this on Twitter. When it comes to the hours that we work, right? Like, I work 60 hours plus since October. I have not had a day off. Like, I haven't had 2 consecutive days off next to each other in almost 8 months.
That would suck.
And there's a real lack of empathy from consumer to developer. And I don't ask you guys to feel for me like, oh, blah, 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 this and that. I don't ask you guys for any sympathy. But when it comes to like consumerism, there is zero empathy for us who are working and grinding long hours for this, for something that people are like, $6 is not worth it. I need $1 per hour. And if the game is not 60 hours long, then it's not worth it. Well, I don't mean to flex or be rude or alienate people, but there are people in the world that make 6-figure salaries where $60 is an hour's worth of work to them. To them, $60 is fine. Like, to me, buying a video game at $60 is no problem. To me, buying a game like Days Gone at $60 is fine because I want to support the game. I want the IP. If Sony sees that this game is $100 million and it only made $50 million in sales, they're not going to pitch a sequel. It is what it is. They're not going to greenlight a sequel, especially since Ben Studio is a first-party studio that is money out of Sony's pocket in order to fund. It'd be a different story if something like Bethesda was like, hey, let's just make it because it's our money anyways. We're independent. Or it'd be a different story if Platinum Games was creating it. But when you have a first party, when the business is to make money and not to make video games, and you don't have support for video games, if the sales numbers come in and it's shy, it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good for sequels. It's not gonna be good for future endeavors. They're going to be moved to different things. And as a developer, when we're moved to different things, Sony San Diego, and we're told constantly to, they're told constantly to do this and do that, and then move to a different project. Let's just axe the whole studio, and 60 people are out of work. That's a tough proposition as a developer to see, like, constantly working on something for 5 or 6 years to not even know if it was going to make the light of day, just because some consumer is, like I said, this is a little harsh, but too lazy, or doesn't want to buy the game for $60, or just it's fine even if you buy it on sale. I'm not even saying that you have to buy for $60 is the only way to buy the game, but I'm saying that the sales numbers have to support the audience retention. And even if people are not buying it on sale, even if the game is being given away for free, which it is, and people are still not playing it, it's not a good look. So the best way to support a video game, if you want a sequel, which is something that Overwatch, because it's so popular, is all about. Overwatch is $45, man.
But see, me personally, I think Days Gone Days Gone sold pretty well. I think it was like one of the top selling games on PlayStation when it were launched. So I don't know.
So
but when it launched and whether it held up the actual growth, like we're talking about Miles Morales, for example,
right?
Yeah.
That game came out half a year ago already.
It's rough to say it's the best selling game when it was the only game that launched that year. That's like saying this is the best person looking. This is the best looking person in the building when there's only like 10 people in the building.
There's only 2 people on the island.
Yeah, there's 2 people on the building, 2 people on the island, that kind of thing. The caveman effect is real. And when it comes to games, if it's the only game that came out that year, it's not a great look, like being realistic here.
My opinion on that is somewhat going towards what Deli said, right? But at the same time, what Techniq says on that particular clip, right? I remember watching that stream particularly, and
really?
what he was saying prior to that was not consistent with what he was saying in that stream. Do you know what I mean? And that's why when I said that's why I said that his opinion is a little skewed at that point, because what he was doing was he was influencing off of the chat that was going through, and he just wanted to say things that pleased the audience that he was holding, right? So, speaking on the matter, yes, it is heartbreaking. Like, I know the developing aspect of certain things. Like, when, like, obviously I can't go into game development what Deli does. But for me, like, especially my graphics design work, right now, if I put an hour's end of like an animation, for example, or let's just say creating a particular artwork like logo or character design or whatever it is, right? And I put hours of it, and then afterwards, let's just say I put like 19 hours to create one character model or whatever it is, and I'm getting paid $1 for each hour, right? And then all of a sudden, you put so much hard work into it, and you pitch it to your boss or whoever it is, and they're like, "Oh, I will take it into consideration," but then afterwards, completely gets scrapped off because they're like, "Oh, we got something else now. Let's focus on that." It's like, hey, I can understand. But however, from what he was saying in that particular stream, he was like, no, it has to be bang on $60, right? Bang on $60. And that's the best way to support it. Yes, I agree. You support it. If you love the game, if you enjoy the game, go for it. End of story. I'm all up for it. But then afterwards, don't assume the point that everyone who wants to get these games and everything like that have those funds to meet that criteria. Yes, they're going to be waiting for that sales period time, and only then they can afford to buy it, or somebody who can give it as a gift on Steam, for example, for them, and buy it on their behalf. And Yeah, I agree with Technique's point of view. Like, if developers do need that kind of funding and that kind of a support in order to do so, because they put tireless amount of hours into that particular project. And in all fairness, like, yeah, if I really enjoyed, like, if I like look at one particular IP, and if I'm thinking, oh, this is my kind of a game. And what consumers at this point will do is they'll go on, look up on YouTube, they'll look up on Twitch, see the person who's playing it, and if they really like the whole entire thing of it, yes, okay, fine. But also, there are some certain things. There is a little side of me that says, like, there are some genuinely good hawking individuals within these developing teams who will put their time and effort. But then there are some individuals out there, and there are some teams out there who do half a job, right? So, for particular example, let's just look at EA, right? When it comes to sports games, right? From FIFA 16 all the way till FIFA 21, right? All they did was just slap a new skin, right, and just change like little bits of direction here and there, and the shooting triggers, right? Bro, the best FIFA game that they actually released was FIFA 15, right? That was the best game that they actually released. After that, it was just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and they just focused on the whole FIFA Ultimate Team aspect, and they just grind it for money. Now, supporting that kind of a developer, I am against it. Like, I don't want to support that kind of a developer. But person like, for example, an indie developer or whoever it is, and they genuinely create a game which is actually pleasing. People really enjoyed it. They put their heart and soul into it. For those kind of people, I will put every single dime on there because they gave me something I really enjoyed, and I am more than happy to support them. For example, look at Warframe, right? It's a free-to-play model.
Yeah.
Right? It's a free-to-play model. But everything that they do within the game pleases the whole entire community. Even if it costs 99, there's a package over there, right? For £99 and 99 cents. And I'm kid you not, I have bought one of those. Right? I bought one of those. The reason is the value for money, all the things that you get with it, because these are all like skins, right? You got skins and you got in-game currency, and the conversion packet is really good, right? So I decided, you know what? This is a yearly thing. I'm just going to buy once for the whole entire year. I don't have to spend any money at all because it's sufficient enough for me for every time they release something for me to go and spend that in-game currency on. Do you know what I mean? So, yes, I do agree that consumers are getting greedy when it comes to these kind of things. And also, we should stop supporting these lazy developers who are actually sitting there and just focusing on microtransaction and trying to get every money out of your pocket. Even bearing in mind they release the full game, but on top of that, they're releasing in-game benefits for you where it doesn't involve any kind of a skill, it doesn't involve any kind of a thing, and they just make you pay for those particular content. I think that should be scrapped off completely.
Yeah.
Do you know
I'm
what I
a
mean?
big
Yes,
fan
so-
of Miles Morales solely because, and I paid $70 for the game. You know, because I got the remaster for Spider-Man as well too. I paid $70 for that game, to support it and help it out, whatever it may be. I enjoyed it, even if I beat it in 12. It was like 8.5 hours, 10 hours, right? A lot of people are complaining, oh, it's short, this and that. As a busy adult, I don't want a 100-hour video game. So to me, Miles Morales was just short, sweet. It trimmed all the fat that I disliked in the original Spider-Man 2018 release, which is why I like Miles Morales more. It's a very streamlined version of the game, and I understand that people who aren't busy working adults, teenagers, people who are stuck in the pandemic that are just at home, homebound, I understand that, $1 per hour or 50 cents an hour is a good equivalent exchange of time to money spent. But to me, Ubisoft, I don't really care. I'll disclose my pay. I'm not really hurt by it. But Ubisoft paid me the equivalent of about $47.35 an hour. To me, $70 was just 2 hours worth of work. But to some people who make $7.25 an hour, that it's like 10 hours of work. So I understand that my opinion is a little skewed because my finances aren't as in dire straits as somebody who is, relying on stim checks or, out of work for the last year or whatever it may be. And I understand that. But at the same time, as a person who works in the industry, I'm on the other side of the consumer fence, right? I'm on the other side of the fence. And both as a consumer and a developer, I'm envious of the ignorance that consumers have when it comes to just not understanding the amount of work we really put in and the amount of cost that these games cost to make, regardless if it's FIFA 2021 or if it's, Resident Evil 8. I promise you these numbers are going to be well north of $50 million. And
Yeah.
that's not cheap for anybody.
So let me add on to your point, Deli, when you talked about dollar per hour.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you guys think is the most reasonable amount of minimum hours? Like, let's say it's a single player game. So what would be the reasonable amount of hours that you spend for a $60 purchase? Like, how many hours would you expect for a single player game? Like, do you have any like rough estimate or things like that? Like for me personally, I would say like, if it's as long as it's at least 15 hours, I would say that's a reasonable purchase. As long as the production quality is good, like it's got good, gameplay mechanics and good, it's a good soundtrack and things like that. Like I think that's worthy of a $60 purchase.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because when it comes to story, I love story-rich games, right? Like I thought, what is it? Like I played God of War when it first came out, right? And I legit finished the game in 3 days straight because I did not eat properly. I didn't go to sleep properly because I was just so engrossed into that whole entire game, like the beginning part. Like as soon as you entered the scene and you just like they smoothly translated, transaction to Baldur's fight. I was like, bro, they get me
He said
in.
he had me at boy.
You know what I mean? That's exactly like, but get me in, and like everything felt so story rich, like you could understand because I was a big God of War fan. Like, and then afterwards, like coming from that aggressive point of view, and then afterwards, now you get to see like he's an adult, he's actually matured, he's going through a thing. Now he has somebody to look after. Now he's teaching him the ways to do certain things, but at the same time, he's being ruthless as well, showing him the way. You're exploring the whole entire scene. You're exploring the whole entire story, learning each characters along the way. They had a little bit of mystery to it too, like who is this person, who is that person, and then bam, when you finish the whole entire game, it felt satisfying. Right, it felt that full satisfaction, and you were more looking forward to the next step, what they were going to do. Unfortunately, Asgard is not dropping, and now it's a standalone game, which I'm a bit salty about. But yeah, I've been waiting for that game for a very long time. So all in all, I think God of War was whole project of, I think it consisted of like 16 or 17 hours, something like that, I believe.
Yeah, I plat the game in about 23 hours. I was on the same boat as you. I literally bought that game Friday and I finished it Sunday. I platted the game on Sunday.
Exactly.
No, I will tell you though, a game that I got a lot of value out of was Ghost of Tsushima. I literally spent more time taking photos. And mind you, I paid both $60 for Ghost of Tsushima and God of War 2018.
Yep.
And I got 3 times the amount of time out of Ghost of Tsushima than I did God of War. Now, am I saying that that's equivalently a better game? Not really. or maybe, who knows? I really enjoyed both games. A game that also caught me off guard was Miles Morales. I paid $70 for that. I beat it in 10 hours, and I don't know, I just had so much fun with it. So to me, because of my financial standpoint, I don't really care how long the game is.
So
I'm cool with an
Really?
8-hour game being $60.
So
can I throw a wrench in there? Because you know how a lot of people say like, $60. I want 60 hours. I don't
Nah.
think it necessarily has to mean
Yo, that's a little
like
bit too
60
extreme.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to mean 60 hours of story. It's just
Yeah.
the fact that
Mm.
I played it for 60 hours. You feel
Mhm.
me?
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Like if
that
I'm
dollar
playing, I'm
per
still,
hour is very real for some consumers, and I get it. You're
yeah.
a teenager or whatever it may be. You work at McDonald's where you make $7 an hour. But I bought Persona 5 and Persona
Oh
5 The
god.
Royal for $60
That's
both
definitely
times,
worth
both
it. Yeah,
Steelbook editions. And I
definitely
put
worth it.
200 hours into both games, platted both games, and I have 400 hours in Persona 5 alone across both titles, and I spent $120. To me, I'm ecstatic by that. I played Persona 5 for months,
Yeah, you got your money's worth.
and then I revisited it during the pandemic to plat the original P5 again because I didn't have the plat at the time, and it was like I spent so much time, like I burnt myself out playing that game, and now I'm like, yeah, to me $60, I was like, yo, this is I would have paid $300 for this game. It did not matter.
Damn.
It's the same thing when it like I got like again with you, like I got God of War at launch point and I got Ghost of Tsushima launch point. Paid 60, like for me it was £62 and 99 pence. I can remember that, but I paid full price nonetheless, and I got more game time. Mainly due to the fact that I was just amazed by the scenery, like you did, and I was just taking photo mode, photo mode, photo mode. Do you know what I mean? Like everywhere I was going, like photo mode.
Yeah, I have a
Um,
terabyte of photos from Ghost of
So
Tsushima.
I want to, because I want to try and kind of like try and find like a middle bridge here.
Mhm.
If you're playing a game after a week from the point that you bought it, do you think the game is worth your time?
Yeah.
Like, do you think the investment was worth it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
like, again, like I am one of those, dollar per hour. But for example, like I am a person that literally plays games all day, and that is my income. So for
Yeah.
me, 8 hours a day by the end of the week is 56 hours.
Mhm.
By the end of 7 days, you feel me?
Mhm.
And let's say you even break that down. Let's say you only get to play 2 hours, right? If a month later you're still playing the game, was the game worth it?
Yes.
You feel me?
Yeah,
So,
but
so
onto
it would still
onto
come
your
down to the whole dollar per hour making sense. You feel me?
yeah,
Like
but
it's
like
not a bad way to look at it.
all right, yeah.
Not
So
that it's bad.
onto your argument of dollar per hour thing, like if you like let's say an example would be like an Assassin's Creed game, like the newest Assassin's Creed game Valhalla, and
Yeah.
Joker alluded to that last episode as well, that like Ubisoft is notorious for like giving
Oh
you
god.
so many objectives, like side objectives to do, and like that gets tedious after a while, like doing like how many times are you gonna do a raid? You got like 5 or 6
Like
raids in the area,
I
like
think
how many times you're gonna repeat, like do the do these repeating actions all over again.
so. So
See,
you were there on that particular day. I was playing Assassin's Creed because I was waiting for everyone to show up on this, Discord chat as usual. And meanwhile, I was just sharing my screen, and I didn't care. I was playing the game. And Crow hopped into the chat, right, on Windows chat, and he saw like, oh, what you played? I was like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I was there like, he goes, how come you're playing it? I was just like, I just wanted to go check it out, see if they got any kind of a new update going on or something like that. Because, hey man, there was some lot of glitches when I was playing it. I just wanted to see if they fixed it, bro.
Mm.
I kid you not. By the time I went from point A to point B with the story, I did so much crap in between, which was not
yes.
necessary, and I was like, get me the fuck out. Like I just quit after that. And I was there like I don't know why I installed it again, so I went and uninstalled it straight away.
I feel you on
Dang.
that totally, because that's like with that's probably like with most of the newer Assassin's Creed games. There's so much filler in that, and that's don't get me wrong. I love Ghost of Tsushima, fantastic, but that I felt the same way with that because there was a lot of fetch questing in there, and it was a lot of filler. I mean, you didn't need that, but
Yeah.
other,
No, I mean, like, I get that completely. But this happened. Oh,
Wait, did
oh,
someone
we
leave?
lost,
Yeah,
we
we
lost,
yeah,
left.
we
lost
lost
window.
Oh.
But speaking of that, though, there is no game out there that's told me that while I was following the storyline, that I have to go do these objectives, right? And I was forced to do these objectives, and that's what pissed me off. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
I'm
that's something
sorry.
Yeah.
that Ghost of Tsushima is well designed for.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima doesn't do
give
that.
you a map. It didn't say like, oh, you had to go pet these foxes, you had to go find this stuff. It's all completely up to you. To me, I maxed out that first island and I got it was like level 6 or whatever. Level 6 is the max. I got a level 5 katana before I even finished the first 4 missions in the game. And yeah, did it made the rest of the game easy? Yeah. But I had so much fun just playing that game and exploring. To me, that busy work didn't feel like busy work because I wanted the game made me feel like I wanted to go do it. Whereas arguably our IPs at Ubisoft aren't they're not designed to be the same exact way as something like the guys over at Sucker Punch designed their open world quest system.
Like my take on it, right? So Assassin's Creed, the Ezio timeline.
Yes.
The best timeline of
I agree.
all time,
I agree.
That's
right?
facts, yeah.
I really enjoyed playing every single Assassin's Creed from 2 all the way to Revelations,
Yep.
because the simple fact was that Ezio was involved in all of this, right? Because the
Yeah,
story progressed over time, and I really enjoyed it. However, I did enjoy Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, and everything like that. So don't get me wrong, I enjoyed those two. Anything after that, like, no, like, it just lost me. Like, okay, I get it. I get the whole entire notion behind of it, but it was not as story rich as how the Ezio timeline captured me. Do you know what I mean? Because you started playing the game as he was growing up, turning into be the grandmaster of assassins.
Yeah.
And it's just like the whole aspect of progressing with the character, and it's the same thing with when it came to Ghost of Tsushima. Like, you grew, like, there was some flashbacks, and then there were some things because Jin was like, yeah, let's going ham, and then there was a what you call it, an actual target that you needed to go. The focus of the story was there throughout the whole entire thing, and that's what made me grip onto it. But at the same time, it was also cool that I did not, like, the story did not make me go and do particular things that I did not want to do. Right? Like, I really did not want to do that. Like, I could just wander off on my own and be like, oh, I want to go get that treasure. I want to get that armor. I want to get that armor set. Let me go see if I can do that challenge. And it was the same thing. And that's the main reason why, like, these kind of games, when it's story rich and everything like that, I'm so fully focused into it. I can do it, but at the same time, giving me the option to go do side missions without making me do it, I'm all good. I'm all good for that. But when you force me to do something that I don't want to do, like, I'm sorry, bro, I'm a bit rebel. I'm a rebel, right? Like, I will say no to that straight away. And it was the same thing when they had, I don't know if you guys ever played Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, right? Brilliant Souls type of samurai game, right?
Yeah.
So it's soul type, but brilliant samurai. Like, graphics, when you first look at it, you'll be like, I'm not really sure. But as you carry on playing it and as you carry on understanding the game, because this game teaches you about the mechanics on how to beat the boss.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't learn the mechanics of the boss, you're gonna die instantly. and it doesn't start off. There is no easy, there is no intermediate, there's no hard, there's nothing. You start off in that one level difficulty, and that's hard from the beginning.
Yeah, it's much akin to something like a fighting game where if
Mhm.
you fail, you have to learn.
Mhm.
There's no, there's no cushion, there's no easy way out, there's no cheese, there's no guaranteed win, there's no, there's no save me button. You either put the time in or you go play another game.
So it all kind again when you say about value for money and the hours and everything, those are the things that I am more up for, because as they're like, you know what, it's actually making me want to play this game. I want to beat it. Like I've got some kind of a challenge now that I have to beat. If I don't beat that challenge, it's going to be in the back of my head like, why did I spend money on this game? Right? Like,
Yeah.
why the fuck did I spend money on this game if I'm never going to play? Why the fuck? Like, let me go ahead and just learn this game. Let me understand this game. Let me beat it.
And I think that's
Yeah.
just a fighting game mentality in you,
Mhm.
whereas other people, like I said, consumers are just a wide range.
Mhm.
Windu is like, that's his job, right? Like my job is not playing video games, and I've already disclosed my pay. I'm not hurt buying a $60 game, but for Windu, if he buys a $60 game, that means that he needs to
be
have a week's
invested.
worth of content lined up, and people need to come in and interact with him in order for him to just essentially pay off that game. Whether or not he feels like the game is worth it is irrelevant, because there's an actual consequence to his dollar, because it's actually impacting his income. If it's a game that is disliked by his audience and nobody shows up there, that's his income right there too. So even if he really enjoys that game, that $60 there's a visible reverb to that $60 spent, whether or not that'd be a business income or a business transaction or a personal transaction becomes very apparent then and there within the week. Whereas something like me, it's like, bro, I don't care. I'll buy the game and then play for 10 hours and be like, yo, I enjoyed it. And that's like, I could just be like, I had fun, and that's it. If it made me laugh one time, I'd be like, yeah, this is a good game.
It's like for
stopping
me,
at the garage scene in Resident Evil.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
to me, I'll pay $60 for that experience and be like, that's on me. That's on me.
Yeah. So like I'm in the middle of both of you guys thing, right? So he's a full-time gamer and he has to think about money, but you can just afford to buy the game outright and you don't have to worry about it because of your income. I'm in the middle of both of you guys. Like I have half of your income, but at the same time I have to worry about other shit too. so it's like I'm torn in between. So this is where I come in. I'm like, I need to invest in a game where I can actually make most of it as possible,
It's a time,
possible.
because then you have that dollar per hour argument, or I guess the time to income ratio. The value.
Also, the simple
value of
fact is
game.
that, and also the simple fact is that I have to commit to my work life too. I can't just
Yeah.
ignore that fact. So again, it comes with your time as well, where it's like, oh shit, I don't have that much time that I can input. Like I wish it was much more linear kind of a thing, and I can just get to the point straight away and put less hours. So I'm honestly like I'm one of those people who is the middle of both the side of the argument,
Which
right?
is great, because that's something that your insight here for being that middle ground consumer is very important for this for this group chat, or not this group chat, lol, this round table, because here are me and Windu, two outliers where income is no problem to me, but time is of the essence. Whereas Windu, where it's like he has all the time in the world, but it affects his income. So it's like, to him, the income is actually the problem. Regardless if he made $1 million or not, $60 is a lot to spend on a game that actually can basically make him zero money or $1 million within the week. And whereas you're like, there's a split, there's a 50-50 or even a 70-30 split. And to me, you, and I'm not going to speak for Big Mike, he can speak for himself, but I think you guys represent the middle ground of consumers. So it's nice to really have your opinions as well too.
So I'm with I stand between like Windu and Joker as well. I'm probably in the middle as well, because I'm on a fixed income as well. I'll just go ahead and say I'm disabled. so I don't work.
Oh wow.
So my money is like, I get a disability check, and that's where I have to balance it out. I have to pay the bills first, then whatever money I have left after I pay my bills is where I buy my games or the money I make from streaming on Twitch as well. So I'm like I said, I'm with Windu. And you said something about Resident Evil 3 there, Windu. I remember the backlash when the Resident Evil 3 remake launched, and if you all remember the backlash, people, it was like a 5-hour game, and the people at Capcom charged $60 for that. Was it worth it for 5 hours? Was it worth it for 5 hours? Not really. I remember the huge backlash.
So that game was worth it for the nostalgic reason.
I don't know if it's worth it for the nostalgic reason.
No, for
don't
me,
get me wrong,
I thought it was worth it because it also came with the multiplayer game. But a lot of people dismissed the multiplayer aspect. Like
I didn't play the multiplayer.
They didn't like it. But yeah,
I
I thought it was with the story and the multiplayer. Like I had a lot of fun with the multiplayer, to be honest.
Like
so,
let's be honest. Who remember playing multiplayer aspect on Uncharted?
I didn't really play the multiplayer on Uncharted either, but the story alone in that game wasn't 5 hours long either. That Uncharted was like 10, I think 15 hours tops.
Yeah.
So that was worth $60 at the time because that's what the games are being charged for. But like I said, Resident Evil 3 remake was 5 hours. I saw all the backlash on Twitter about it, and to me, even though they included the multiplayer, I think they should have made it like $40.
Like I understand the whole remake aspect of it, but you have to understand this too, that it's a remake, so nothing of it is going to be changing majorly. So if you look back then, when what was it? Resident Evil 3? What was it actually originally released on? Was it?
Let me look that up really quick, but I'm just going
to
eyeball and say 1999.
Yeah, something like that. So if you compare to the hardware that's capable of back then, and what kind of hardware you got now, you can't add just extra stuff to it because they originally created that game for that particular era.
I agree. But with Resident Evil 3 Remake, they took stuff out of the game, and I even saw people talk about that to make it. There was so much content I think missing from Resident Evil 3 Remake just so they can push it out and get that nostalgic feeling.
Okay, so my thing is I don't really know much about the Resident Evil 3 remake because I remember playing the original Resident Evil 3.
I played the original.
So I played the original one, but I didn't play the remake. So the thing is, if they actually altered with the story and they removed a lot of content which was in the original game, then yes, I agree to you that that shouldn't have been the case. Now, what did they do? What did they add in return of the things that they actually removed? Did they add anything particularly?
I don't think they added anything besides the multiplayer. They're like, here's the Resident Evil 3 remake, and on top of that, if you buy it for $60 or even whatever you buy it now, here's the multiplayer with it. I'm
So they removed certain contents of it in order to add the multiplayer mode on it.
Yeah, I think that was the issue because there was the team was split in between the campaign and also the multiplayer aspect. So there was a team working on the maps for the multiplayer, and it took some resources out of the original Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, so if they removed certain things just to add the multiplayer, then yeah, I agree with Mike because they're like, all right, Brett, this is not worth the money or whatever it is. But if they left the original content and they just upgraded the graphics, they made it much more pleasing to the eye, like from what it was.
Oh, the graphics are amazing. I ain't gonna lie, the graphics are amazing on it. I played it on Pro.
Right, and then they just added maybe an extended footage, like a storyline or a chapter to make it much more appealing. Then. Good. It's like you're visiting nostalgic, but at the same time you're getting something a little new. All right, cool. But
that's one reason I love Resident Evil Remake 2. Fucking fantastic. It was worth, I think I paid $70 for it. definitely worth it. $70. I mean,
Yeah.
it had the nostalgic, it had everything in it. It was 10, I think 20, 10, 12-hour game. Especially if
Yeah,
you play,
RE2 definitely had a pretty decent length. Yeah.
I want to ask you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
because you had to play. Sorry, because you with Resident Evil 2 remake, you had to play Leon, Claire, and I think Leon more time to get the full ending.
Hmm.
But go ahead,
So-
there.
Oh, I wanted to ask you guys, with the value of a video game, obviously we all come from 4 different financial backgrounds, or 5 different financial backgrounds. So during holiday season, do you guys feel like, with the bombardment of $60 video games, do you guys feel like, to you have to pick one? Is that something that like the value is skewed because you have, your income situation going on, factored into the holiday season, where you're like, okay, I can't buy $360 worth of video games. For me, Black Friday is a big thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
Black
yeah,
Friday's
Or
a
is
huge
it just
thing.
like,
So-
I'm just gonna buy and play it whenever?
Let me give you a quick example, right?
Yeah.
So PS4, just before PS5 got released, I think this was in 2019. There were so many games coming out. Like, you got Modern Warfare 2, you had versus Tsushima, you had this, you had that. So altogether, I think there was about 5 games going to get released in the same year, right? Just months apart from each other or something like that. And I'm sitting there looking at all these prices. I was there like, bro, I don't even spend so much money on my Christmas, and I have to spend the money on these games. Like, damn, bro. Like, I was just sitting there going, how am I gonna explain this to my girlfriend? Like, every month, if I keep spending like $60, like, it's just gonna be a fucking, she's just gonna look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? Can't you just be satisfied with one game? I'm like, yeah, but I want to play all these games. Like, I am looking forward to play all these games.
Same.
And that, again, like, when you said with the financial thing, I have to look out for the budget. Like, if you said, okay, there's one game gonna get released in January, and then afterwards in August time, there's gonna be another game gonna get released.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I got all these months to actually beat the game,
Mhm.
complete it, do whatever it is, and then I can go and be like, oh, I can go and now venture out to a new thing. Like, let me go and buy this, because now I have a justifiable reason to go buy a different game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, like, spending money is a very tricky subject, right? Like, if I had money behind me backing up without any worries, I'm like, cool, no problem, I'll just buy it. But because I got my house to pay for, my car to pay for this, that, all these extra, my outgoings, like, my income, let's just say, is 100%, but my outgoing is 80%.
Yeah.
And I only got 20%, and I have to be a bit finicky with this.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, playing the balancing act.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's
Yeah, definitely one
that's
of
where
them.
I am. That's where I'm very careful with what games I buy.
Mhm.
See what kind of content I get. See if it's available. Like, I'll scour the net to find every single gameplay, like comparisons and this, that, and what you name it, before I actually think about, let me go buy this game.
Yeah.
Let me go buy it. And when I make my commitment, I try to play the game fully, and I will try to complete that game. And it's easier to just say, oh, I spent $10 and I'm not really enjoying it. Like, I can get away with it, than saying I spent $60, but I don't want to play the game.
I see.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I, like, it's just much more easier for me to get a free pass. Like, it's all right. You're gonna spend $10 on some nonsense anyway, rather than spending $60 and not doing anything with it.
Or like a subscription service then becomes more valuable to you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so-
exactly.
Yeah, so gaming is definitely an expensive hobby that should not be understated. And a lot of people these days, they have the the mindset of like, oh, if you act broke, you can stay rich. So there's been a lot of and also, if you think about the price hike, like, these games are now $70 USD, $70 each game. So I think gamers these days are being selective, and like if you take in this Days Gone creative director, what he had to say, like this let's get into this next topic here with the Days Gone creative director. And so he said that if you love a game, you should buy it at full price. And there's actually been some there's been a backstory about this. And actually his previous game was on the PSP store, and actually at the time there was a huge issue with the PSP getting hacked, and his game actually got pirated. So he had an issue with he did see a torrent site which had 200,000 copies of his previous game being downloaded. And so he was saying, like, this is money out of my pocket, where this is money where that I should have deserved from these people pirating the game. So if you take into that argument, like, do you think he's right in a sense that people should be paying these games, or do you think that piracy is still not a thing anymore?
So
for
I
Go
think you
ahead,
should
my,
have said full price.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what he should have said was if you like the game,
They
buy
should
it.
pay. Yes,
Yeah,
pay and
pay,
support it.
pay, just
support,
whatever.
Because piracy definitely hurts the creators, and
Mhm.
piracy isn't a good thing. But saying they should pay full price for it,
Mhm.
it's like, hey, homie, again, I still know a lot of games that I wouldn't pay 50% off for it. But that doesn't
Exactly.
mean I won't buy it and support
Yeah,
in
yeah.
some way later on.
Mhm.
But
Like
sticking
look at it.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go on, carry on.
Oh, I was gonna say, but sticking a finite dollar amount to it is something that is a very risky. That definitely was foot and mouth. I
Yeah,
agree.
Yeah,
While I do
sure.
support his argument, like I said prior, but I did also say that, like, I also do believe you should buy the game on sale. I think in any way, shape, or form that contributes to sales numbers, I
Mhm.
think that is the idea that he probably should have conveyed instead of saying it. Hey, just buy it at $6. I don't care.
He probably was just salty.
Yeah, no, with the given
Understandably.
situation, he probably was hot.
Piracy thing.
Yeah,
So
but yeah, $60
so,
is a tough sell to just be like, hey, you have to buy the game at $60. There's no other way.
like
You're not a real fan unless you buy it
Bro,
for $60.
200K times $60 is 12 million.
mhm.
Damn.
Like,
Yeah.
just throwing it out there. If
So-
somebody tells me, hey man, your game could have made an extra 12 million, but PirateBay.org got to them or some random shit, be like, I
So
would
like
be salty.
You'd be hot too.
when was this tweet actually posted by this guy?
I don't
days.
know the actual date.
But was it somewhat this year? Because if he did it this year,
Oh yeah, it was
it
definitely
was-
recent. Yeah, it's pretty recent. Like I
Okay,
think it was, I
so
believe
if
it was
it's pretty
last week.
recent, like here's the thing.
3 days ago was the
I could
article.
understand if he actually tweeted this like years ago, right? Where piracy was a thing and it was easy to do so back then. Because I remember specifically, like I used to have a cracked PSP, right? And pretty much I used to just burn ISOs onto my PSP because I had an expandable storage. And I had like 32 GB, right? And I used to just burn ROMs on it, and I used to just be like, hey, let me just go ahead and play the game. But my other argument was it was not so easy to do so. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but
You
it's
need
easier
to.
nowadays. Like
It
you
is.
gave
It
a
is.
good example yourself.
No,
Download
it
an
is.
emulator, play the game,
No.
never have to pay for it.
I get
People do
that.
that all the time.
I completely get that. But what I'm saying is, let's just say piracy will never go out of existence, right?
Mm.
Because there's always going to be some guy out there always doing
That
something or
doesn't
the
want to
other.
pay.
Yeah, exactly. And that, regardless of what it is, it'll never go out of existence. But setting it up nowadays, right? For example, setting up the emulator, right, was not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. It can be a hassle. If you mess up one thing, it might not run,
Imagine.
and you can spend at least a good 30 minutes to an hour searching on the internet on how to fix this fucking issue that only I seem to be having and nobody else seems to be having.
Now, I'm
Everyone's
going to ask you a
running.
question that may skew the argument a little bit, but do you believe that amount of hassle and hard work is worth $60?
Nah. it's
So you
I-
rather go through all that hard work instead
no
of
no no
paying
no no no.
$60?
I'm sorry
What are you
I got
saying,
mixed
or-
up. I got mixed up. Sorry. Yeah, so I'd rather pay $60 and get the game straight up.
Mhm.
Like, we're not gonna lie to you. I'd rather pay the $60 and pay the game straight up because there are some command lines I had to put on there, right? Right. I'm not
Really? I thought it
lying
was
to you.
easy
Like,
piracy.
no. Just to run the emulator. Forget downloading the
He's
ROM
talking
or
about the
anything like that.
emulator
Yeah,
specifically.
just
setting it
running
up.
the emulator. Like just setting it up. I had to put some command lines. I had to install like this plugin in order to connect my controller. This that. I'm like, bro, why am I downloading 101 things when I can just buy the game? Fuck it. I just buy the game and I'll just spend it. Like, the only reason why I download emulators and play the ROM is not because of piracy. I support piracy or anything, because I get to actually try out on a system where I know my PC is good enough to handle most of the majority of the games out there. And even if it runs emulators and stuff like that, I know it can handle it. I just want to see what it look like from my perspective, and then I will go and spend the money. Like, I'll be like, oh, is it worth spending $60? Yes, I'll go buy. Spend $60. This is just for my review. It's nobody else's thing. It's for my review. Like, I'm not saying a lot of people are like me out there, but a lot of people over there have their own agendas, bro. They have their own thing, what they want to do. And like I said, eradicating piracy is not an easy task. It's not an easy task. But I agree with you too, you and Windu, that the message that he was conveying was not correct. What he put, like, he put a price tag and he was like, yo, you
Foot
need to
in mouth,
buy
right?
this. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? So that will come across a lot of from a lot of people's point of view that you're arrogant. You're just an
Yeah.
idiot.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And
Like, who the fuck do you think you are telling me what I need to do?
With my
Hey,
money.
my mom doesn't tell me, my dad don't tell me, my family don't tell me. Who the fuck are you? You might be
I
the
think-
developer, but fuck you.
I was gonna say, I think the worst part is who he is, like who
Mhm.
it came from. You get me? Like if some random, developer decided to tweet this out, somebody would have been like, "Oh, they feel that way, but he's a person, whatever." But as soon as they're like, "Yay, the head," or like, "Yo, the lead," it's like, whoa, wait a minute, buddy. And honestly, there might be a lot of people that because of that foot and mouth statement, they might not support any games that he's part of now.
On top of the
Damn.
fact that the news just broke
That's
that
a bad look. Yeah,
the
that's
sequel
crazy.
didn't get greenlit. So it did feel like, oh, you mad, bro? Like, you salty?
You just want to be like trolly towards him now even more
Yeah.
just because of that
Yeah.
statement. You know what I mean? You fuck. Oh, you know what? Next time you release a game, I'm going to pirate it for shit. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to download this, download
that
all
shit.
your files, and I'm going to put it on the net where people can have access to this shit for free. Hey, I'm just gonna be salty as shit in that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The fucked up
So,
part
you
is,
know-
even if only 5 people have that mentality, think of it like this: those 200,000 came from one downloaded person.
Yeah.
Imagine how much damage 1,000 people that feel that way now can do.
Yeah, so on the topic of piracy, there's been a meme out there that they do call PC gamers terrorists. But to be honest, like if you look in the past years, like when you look into the Steam sales, like it's just mind blowing how many people support their games on PC. And like I have a source here for Death Stranding, and Death Stranding actually sold 27 million on PC in only 5 months. So
Yeah.
like people support their games when they care for their product, like when they know that it's a good product. And like for me, in my opinion, like this is a really bad take by this director, because like if you have a good game, then it should show when you do your presentation, like when you do your demo showcase or when you do your gameplay trailer reveal.
True marketing and everything.
Yeah, and like I heard a lot of bad things about Days Gone. Like I heard like the gameplay wasn't that fun. Like it wasn't like it had like a lower budget when it came to the gameplay. And
I
so
thought the game was fun. I mean, when you first start out, it's a slow burn
okay.
for the story to get picked up. But the thing I think it hurt the most was when the bugs and the glitches inside the game. There was lots of bugs and glitches inside the game. To me, I think that's what hurt it a lot, because especially when the reviewers and the YouTubers got their hands on it first, and they got to review it, like and before the day one patch got fixed in, and people were showing it. I think that's what hurt a lot of people. Are like, nah, we're not gonna buy this game full price. We're gonna wait till it's like bargain bin, $30, $25 or whatnot.
Yeah,
So
so it's like adding to that perspective, right? Like it's like a lot of people do tend to be like, oh, especially when a game is in a slow burn effect, the starting bit of it. People tend to be put off immediately because these people, like when they saw the trailers, it's all flashy, it's all like fucking around, just running around, going all hectic, chaotic, and they just want to be immersed into it. And all of a sudden, when they loaded up the game and they're like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, why do I have to listen to all of this story? Like, what the fuck
Right.
is going on? Right? And it's understandable. And also, again, the same thing with the bugs and the glitches and everything like that. Adding to that already slow burn, like people will sit through it if they have no choice, but then afterwards, having all those bugs in between of that and adding to that whole negativeness, they'll be like, hey.
So I want to raise the question: do you guys believe that this Days Gone controversy is solely because of the fact that there is a reputation to uphold when it comes to being a first-party PlayStation studio? Because if you look at one of their cohorts or one of their peers in the industry itself, a game like Fallout 4 also has a slow burn, also full of bugs and glitches, and I get it. People are like, it's just Bethesda games. But, I mean, do you genuinely believe that this Days Gone, I'm not going to call it a controversy, but do you believe that the Days Gone
situation
is harshly critiqued because of, it being a PlayStation title? Or do you genuinely believe that it's a bad game and an adjacent game in that same market is not a bad game, even though it suffers the exact same situations?
It's not a bad game. It's definitely not. Like I said, if you can overlook the bugs and the glitches when they were there when they launched, and the Bend Studio is very transparent. Like I mean, like right now, the way Square Enix or the people over that made Outriders are very transparent. They've been very Bend Studios was very transparent, working nonstop. Patching it. I remember like in the first week when Days Gone launched, they had I think like 7 or 8 patches like just back to back, just trying to get the game working and fixed. And like I said, that to me is very transparent to me, and I applaud people or applaud even devs that do that. Because I mean, look at Cyberpunk 2077. Oh wow,
Yeah.
I mean they said there was an update coming, and it was like 4 or 5 months before the update even came, and the game's still not really working to par right now. And don't get me wrong, I love CD Projekt Red. They make very good single player story games, but that hurt them when they put out Cyberpunk 2077, and plus with
It was
the situation.
It was the same situation when Last of Us Part 2 came out, right? Have you ever played Last of Us?
Loved it. I thought Last of Us was the
I have my
masterpiece.
that was
personal opinions on
worth
Last
my
of Us 2.
purchase, to be honest. Like for
I was
me,
I was
like,
actually about to bring it up.
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
Last of Us for me, the first one was the game, right? Because I loved every single aspect of that game.
Bro, that
I
first
put,
mission.
yeah, man, dude, the whole entire that. Bearing in mind, this is a 2013 game, right?
Yeah.
And this is
At the end of the PlayStation 3's life cycle at that.
Yes.
exactly
It still holds
and
up.
still holds as one
Now-
of the greatest
Now hold
games
that thought.
released.
Now hold that thought right there. That it still holds up. You got to be mindful too. I think a big part of it is zombie games are a niche.
Yes.
Let's think about it. It's not first person shooters. Zombie games. small market. And then when you consider you got the Last of Us games, Telltale's Walking Dead, World War
Yeah.
Z, you have plenty of heavy hitters. And then when this one comes out, what's the first thing that people are going to compare? The zombies. Be like, you know what? I don't like the zombies. I like the zombies on that game better. Because we're talking, when you're talking about a game that's focused on zombies, people just look at the movies and they're like, hey,
Mhm.
I like the zombies in that game better. Or I like the diversity. I like the way they chase. I like in World War Z how they stack up on top of each other and climb
that
and
was-
blah blah blah.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
So, like-
but I think that's a biggest factor as to maybe the performance of the
So-
game, not necessarily, you know, the studio or who's supporting it or whatever. And I think the fact that it was a niche game and they did a few things very well, but they didn't do everything, which
Yeah.
is arguably impossible to do.
Right.
I
So,
think the difficulties of the game then combined with the market, then combine that with this guy putting foot in mouth, like
Yeah.
100%, like, hey, size 12, yeah, like, hey.
And bearing in mind, PSP did not have a great content.
It
right?
didn't.
Like they did not have a great content. Like they released, what was it? One of the God of War series on the PSP.
Ghost
Wait,
of
they had a Prince of
Sparta.
Persia, I believe. Yeah.
They had
Dude,
and also an
Uncharted,
Uncharted Golden
Fire.
Abyss.
Yeah,
as well on
yeah. And
PlayStation.
I'm
Chains of
telling you, like,
Olympus.
yeah, like they were not that like okay. It was okay for time waste and whatnot. But do you really think that was like a part of? Like, no. I'm sorry, bro.
It was a good
Like
attempt.
if you sell a $60 game on PSP, it better be the shit because that same game, I'm gonna be buying it on PS3. Right?
Yeah, I agree. The content library for the PlayStation Portable was lacking, and especially at the same price tag, it was a very hard sell for me to buy, you know, Uncharted Golden Abyss for the PlayStation Portable.
I didn't even buy the God of War, the Unchained or whatever it was called for the
Yeah,
PS.
Oh,
It's on PS
I
now
bought-
right now. If you want to play it.
I'll be honest with you, and this is where I might be an outlier as far as PSPs, because even though I don't think the PSP performed that great as far as sales, as far as games, the store, everything, I personally was an individual that was a PSP collector. I'm talking.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I had the white Stormtrooper, I had the gray Jax, I had the red Kratos PSP. I literally had 5
That's crazy.
PSPs at one time just because I wanted different colors, bro. Straight up.
no. Don't
Yo,
get me
their
wrong.
special editions were fire, though. I can't lie, though. When
Like,
I saw those,
Just cause.
Don't get me wrong. Like collecting a PSP is a different story, right? Like because you were just you were just a technology hoarder, right? So like I used to do the same shit. Like I used to collect phones after phones. Like I had the same phone in different varieties of colors and this, that, and everything. But yeah, so I can understand your perspective about collecting PSPs. But did I actually play on the PSP? No. You know what I was actually using the PSP for?
Porn.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got his ass.
Pretty much. That's what the PSP was known for because you could connect to Wi-Fi and you got free porn.
And you
Right?
got a web browser, bruh.
Exactly.
janky ass web browser, bro.
Yeah, like it was using HTML 3.1 or whatever it was
Bro,
called.
when you include PlayStation texting on a
Yeah.
mobile device, it's AIDS at your fingertips, bro.
For a 10-year-old, for a 14-year-old, I'm unstoppable.
Exactly.
damn.
Fucking-
And
he
nobody
said,
can
"I
tell
will
me anything."
spell this link out. Wait
Yeah,
for
nobody
me."
can tell me nothing.
Exactly, bro. Like you can't tell me that you use PSP to game. Nah, I will never believe you if you said you gamed on your PSP hardcore. I'm like, you motherfucker, I know exactly what you did with that PSP. You know what I mean? Gloves on, pick it up to the side, drop it in the bin. Like
All right, yo. Yeah, we're cutting a bit late right here, but it's definitely a great discussion. And thank you guys for coming through, and thank you guys for tuning in live. So, did any of you guys want to do your outros?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me back again. I really appreciate that. My name is Agent Deli. I think Crow has my information here in the description. But to reiterate, I am a video game developer. previously working for Ubisoft.
And on that note, yeah, thank you for bringing me back onto the channel and allowing me to be the part of this roundtable discussion. If you guys don't know who I am Joker Gamer V3, and hey man, I stream, play games, create music, create videos, whatever you name it. But if I think Crow will probably put my name somewhere in the description below, so you can go ahead and check it out if you get the time.
Uh,
Well, you can go.
you can find me on Twitter, at Big Mike 102477, and you can also, check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Big Mike 102477, and you can find me on Twitch the same way at twitch.tv/Big Mike 102477.
Honestly, I got so many links. Just look up WinduTheMace anywhere. But I appreciate the opportunity for being here. I do.
Yo, if you guys are interested in the Paragon remakes, there are Paragon remakes out there, and you guys should give a follow to WinduTheMace. He does stream daily on Twitch, and he's also a pretty good music composer. So he does have another channel for beat making. And yeah, thank you guys for coming through. And once again, this is your boy, Theslykrow, and please like and share this this podcast. We are trying to make a bi-weekly podcast over here. And so if you walk with your boy, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll catch y'all later.